So if you have something that you want to share and you've got a quick win, we're going to do really quick wins today. I'm Linda Brubaker, and welcome to Lunch and Learn. It's Job Seeker Support Group. We meet every Wednesday at 11 o'clock. And one of the things that we do, we're doing this as a way of providing resources and support for people in job search. Your questions are not only going to be answered, they're going to be encouraged. We want to make sure that this is something that really works for all of you. So if anybody has a quick win, okay, that they want to share from last week. Okay, Frank, your hand is up.
Quick win. I got a final interview today with one company, and another company from last week asked me for my references.
Fantastic. Okay, make sure that you share with us when you're done, because that's exactly what we want to hear. Thank you. Who's else got a quick win for us today? Or something that they want to share? If not, okay, we're going to move directly into, oh, Julie, I like your new background.
Thanks.
I think Danielle has her hand up.
Danielle, go ahead. Thank you.
So I got after I told you guys last week that I had 7 interviews with a
Yes.
company. So Monday they offered me the job. I countered yesterday, and then they already came back this morning not accepting my counter. So I'm not sure what I want to do, because I'm not really feeling the warm and fuzzy, and the pay is less than, you know, every time I get a new job, the pay goes down. So I don't know, but yeah, I got to make a decision.
You do. But one of the things that I want people to remember is that you're hiring the company as much as they're hiring you. So it's important for you to feel those warm and fuzzies if you can. And it's okay for you to turn down a job. Okay, it has to be the right fit for you.
Okay.
And it takes courage to do that, but I support you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Anybody else have a hand up? You're on another screen. I may not see you, so thank you. Julie.
Yes. I do have an interview tomorrow. I just did a phone screening. The thing is, it is for a lot lower pay, but it could be an option to do a part-time instead of full. So I'm doing the formal interview tomorrow, and I'm just wondering, it is something I'm interested in doing, but I guess, like you said, just if I don't feel that's the right fit, even after the interview, if I get offered that, if I need to feel that I have to turn it down. But I just, I'm not too crazy, I'm not too happy that the pay isn't more, but I figure it's good experience too, interview experience.
And actually, sometimes that's not a bad thing, is to remember that when you're doing this, every job that you take, whether it's a temporary, a part-time, a contract role, or your next full-time role, it gives you added skills that you can add to the resume. It gives you added things that you can talk about. It gives you new people that you can use as recommendations and references and referrals to something new. So these are not, in my view, I don't know about anybody else, but I don't believe in forever jobs anymore.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So it's okay for you to make that decision too, that this is your next forever, as opposed to your forever. I would never have said that several years ago, but I absolutely do say it now.
Yep.
Okay, Lori.
Yep.
Well, if I get this lower paying job, I'm just going for it, because my runway is run away, and I'll be delighted to have a lower paying job. So and then I have to bulletproof myself to keep this lower paying job. So I am a happy camper, lower pay or whatever. It's either that or Macy's or Target. So I'm all, if I can get this job, I'm going for it.
Good for you.
That's my mantra right now, and I'm sticking to it.
You know what? I think that's a great way of looking at it. Okay. There's so many opportunities out there, or so we've been told, that when you find something and it feels like it's something you want to do, whether it's sideways, whether it's up, down, in a different field, full-time or part-time, if it feels right to you, even if it feels right to you for the moment, go for it. John.
So yes, I had so last week, unfortunately, I did find out some news I was not hoping for after the final round of interviews. I didn't get the job. Um, however, I got one of the like nicest rejection letters from the company, which was good. The HR person said, if you see anything in the future on our website, reach out to me, let me know. And then she also sent me a list of like 8 recruiters that the company uses to contact. And she said they work with full-time and contract jobs. So it sounds like that's a good indication that they liked me, just somebody else had more what they were looking for.
Absolutely. I think that's, it's not the outcome you wanted in terms of the job, but that's a fantastic outcome, John. Okay. To have that kind of support internally that they're willing to not only say, call us back, contact me directly, but giving you other resources, great outcome. I need
so
Sue
I
and
did.
pom-poms. Okay. But consider a virtual pom-pom there.
Yeah, so I did reach out. I replied back to the HR manager, thanking her for her time and everything, um, and I was going to reach out to because I met with like 3 other managers in that group, so I was gonna send a message to them also to see about like connecting on LinkedIn possibly.
Good.
Would that be like
Absolutely.
appropriate?
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep us posted.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Uh-huh. Bo.
Linda, I was just going to say things that I bet you're going to say too to John, and that is, John, do keep in touch politely with them. Don't give up on them, because I've been rejected before that way and then ultimately got the job. So it sounds like they do like you and there might be future hope.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah, that was one question actually. So should I follow up like weekly or bi-weekly with them?
I wouldn't follow up quite that often. Okay. If you see something important, if you see something relevant there, do it. But remember, how often would you like to be contacted? Put yourself in their shoes.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Okay. Thanks. All right. Mark, and then we're going to make this one our last one because we've got a great program today.
All right. Hi. Thank you. I'm used to being on the other side of a Zoom like this. I lost my job of 22 years. I was a director of graphics for CBS Sports, and we came home from the Super Bowl from Las Vegas. And the following morning, there's been a lot of talk about Paramount being sold. And I was called into a meeting. I was like, we got sold. And I got on, and there was the HR guy. I was like, this is not what I was expecting. And that was it. They eliminated my position. So this is the first time since I was 13 that I haven't had a job. And it's, some of you may recognize the last name. My wife, Ellen, kind of turned me on to this group and got involved. And I just wanted to say hello. I don't really have anything to say. It's scary. It's exciting. It's daunting. I'm sleeping better than I have in 20 years, which maybe says something about where I was. I do have I don't have a plan. I don't have a plan yet, but I'm open and I'm looking and I'm hopeful. So, and I just want to say thanks for letting me be here.
Absolutely. Sorry for the reason you're here, but we're happy you're here.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. So what I want to do now is I want to go actually into our program for today, because I don't know how many of you already know Ken Lang, but Kenneth is a LinkedIn master. Calls himself a LinkedIn extrovert. I'm actually going to let him introduce himself in just a moment, but he's one of my go-tos. And Ken and I, as I mentioned, for those of you who joined us early, let's see if I can do this. There we go. Ken and I we met in another room, and we've both been working together to support job seekers in that room as well. We've developed this relationship. And it's a wonderful thing that you can do these on LinkedIn. We've never met in person, Okay, but the support, the friendship is obviously there, and he's such a wealth of information. I was so excited when he agreed to do this. I'm going to actually let Ken introduce himself, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you very much, Linda. It's so great to be here. And part of it, when you're on LinkedIn, I'm actually an introvert, which is hard for me. And it's very hard for me to put myself out there. And that's one of the good things about LinkedIn in some cases, because I'm able to do some posting and commenting and not go to networking events as much as I like to. But a little bit about me, I'm actually working at Lee Hecht Harrison as a brand specialist, which is what I basically do is I work with people on their resumes, on their LinkedIn profiles, and there's a lot of things that they've been out of work for the first time in a while, so they're not sure exactly what to do. So it's up to people like us to help support them. And a lot of it is that they don't realize what they need to do because they've never had to do it, or they've been told the same thing again and again. And a lot of people, when they first lose their job, get spammed left and right with all the people that want to pay, give them services and things. And it's not easy. I'm working with people now that have just lost their jobs, and I've said to them pretty much right off the bat, take some time to decompress for a little while. Don't do anything drastic, because you may not have that opportunity again. I mean, at one point I was out for 2.5 years a while ago, and I totally get it. And you have to rely on people for support in all different ways. So I'm here today to show you some tricks on LinkedIn, things you can do. And I'm really hoping that people can chime in, because I want this to be interactive. I told Linda some of the things I wanted to do, but I say this all the time on my branding sessions at Lee Hecht Harrison. I said, these are your calls, not my call. I'm going to be facilitator, but I want to know what you want from me in a positive way. And the same thing here too. So, without further ado, you tell me, Linda, where would you like me to start?
Why don't you just get started? I'm going to take myself off screen. And this is a group that you don't need to worry about, Ken. By the way, if you all have questions as he's going through it, you can either put it in the chat, raise your hand, and we'll make sure that you get added as well.
So the first thing I wanted to share was for someone who had just lost their job. And I'm going to put this up there. Yes, it's an open to work thing, but let's pretend you don't have open to work up. So I'm going to put this up. It's actually a post. And I would love to get feedback. I know Linda and I were chatting about it before. It's actually a friend of mine who just lost his job at Ricoh. He's a senior manager. And what I want to get a sense of from you, and I'm actually going to call this up right now, I want you to tell me what you think of this post. His name is Rich Heckelman. He lives in town. He just lost his job at Ricoh. So this is what he actually posted on an open to work. And again, it doesn't have to be an open to work with the banner, but I'd love to get some feedback from people here. Again, I'm looking at this very impartially. I know him. This is a great way that you can all introduce yourselves as on a post. So again, and Linda, you had a couple of comments about this before. So the floor is open to anyone, actually.
Yeah. So if Michelle, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, and as soon as I saw this, I connected with him. But what I love that he did, and I've done something similarly too. I mean, I've been unemployed since August, and for a lot of reasons, didn't put my open to work banner up right away. But he personalized it, right? So he didn't take the standard LinkedIn template and just say I'm open to work. Right. He put some thought into this and really just focused on where he is seeking. Now, where I think he could have done better was really put a lot more meat into it, of really highlighting his skills and what he's good at. What is his, maybe elevator pitch per se. But, I'll let somebody else comment.
No, absolutely. And that's why I wanted to have this call up here right now. I just wanted to actually have people brainstorm.
That's what this is all about, guys. One of the things that I noticed was I don't know where he lives. I don't know where he's looking for that role. So if we're trying to help him do this, okay, that open to works down at the bottom where it says looking for project manager, product manager, director, that's wonderful. But as we all know, people don't always click the see more or the view the job preferences. It would be nice if he was putting something in that little post there up top that said where he's looking for that job.
Or if he had target companies in mind or whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, you all know that if you've been to these sessions, I'm a fan of the green banner. I think it works.
Mhm.
So this kind of a post rather than the standard post is a good one.
And you don't have to be open to work to actually create this post. That was the point. You can actually create a post. Like if I'm going to go to my home page here and I'm going to go to the top, I'm going to start a post. I can introduce myself here. Same way. I don't need the open to work banner. I think one of the things I find that's a challenge is most people are so afraid to post for whatever reason. And that's a whole separate discussion. Do not be afraid, because I say this all the time with people that reach out to me on LinkedIn. Try to be as specific as possible about how I can help you. I can help you, but at the same time, I need to know how I can help you. Just like a Rich's post. Same thing again and again. So I wanted to start with that. What I wanted to do as well, because this was all about searching, I wanted to show you, everyone here, the best way to use LinkedIn as a search engine. So I wanted to ask, does anyone have a specific job title that they're interested in finding out more information about? And we can do, as many as we want, but I want to show you how the process works.
Yeah, Ken is really good at this, guys. So if you've got a question, raise your hand. Okay. Paul.
I have a job.
Raul, excuse me. Raul first.
Hello. Yes, I'm looking for a registrar type of position. So within higher ed.
So I'm going to type registrar. And I'm going to type here, and then I'm going to go under registrar. I'm going to do a search for jobs. Now, I'm going to ask you, what is your experience level? If you had to guess.
I would probably say mid-senior level.
It can be more than one, but here, so now I have 305 jobs. So now I'm going to ask you, when I go into registrar, here's a registrar position. If you look at the job specs, are these things that you could add on your resume or your LinkedIn profile that are not there? You're just looking at this from an informational standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you have to assume that people don't know anything about you.
Right.
And you can do this again and again. And I can do this. There's an all filters. If I want to break this down by an industry, let's say I want to look at education administration programs. Same thing. You just look at this as an opportunity to get information. Now, again, it says here, supervisor for curriculum and instruction, different job titles. And all I'm looking at here is information that I can use to support what I want to do, whether it's an about section or something else.
One of the things that I like about this is that in Ken's approach right now, these are not specifically jobs that you're going to be looking for. So you notice, or that you're going to be applying to. You notice he's not narrowing it down by location. This is informational for you to try and decide whether or not you have, in general, in your post, in your resume, in your about section, in the way you describe your jobs on LinkedIn, if you have some of those things that they're looking for. So here we're broadening the search. When you're actually doing your resume for the job, you're narrowing it down to what that specific one is looking for.
And then here, again, this says center director. Now, maybe that a registrar may be a center director. Again, it may be another job title to think about, because what different people say in different jobs. Again, this is all just for information and reference. You may want to apply for a job, may not, but you're looking at this here. And if I were to take this and go add associate, let's say, and I was going to get rid of administrative programs, I might find even more. It's really just about using this for research.
Great, thank you.
So again, and the other way about it is, again, if I'm going to go to registrar here, I may want to see people that have that in their job title. Now, there's a lot of people here, so I usually just break it down to first connections for myself, but you can do it other ways. So these are people that have a registrar. So again, depending on what they have here, you look at their jobs, and I guess what industry would you be looking for? You know, if you had to choose, would it be higher education? Would it be education?
Yes, higher education.
So here, I'm going to do higher education here, and I've got 3 results. Now, again, that's first connections. I'm going to broaden it a little bit. So now I've got registrar. I've got associate registrar. I'm going to call this person up. They have a background image. You look at what they have here, and they're showing up because they have the job title. Now I think I noticed again, and in this one here, assistant registrar, but they have all different things here. Diversity, inclusion, recruitment, team leader. Again, I'm looking at this just from a reference standpoint. And I think what's underutilized with LinkedIn is that it's a search engine. There's so much content, so much good stuff out there. And I think we kind of lose track of the fact, yes, you want to apply for jobs, but you want to put yourself in the best light possible.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure. Again, I'm happy to go for other people. I'm happy to walk through the platform. Linda, you know your audience probably better than me.
Yep, I see Frank has his hand up.
Sure.
I got a question for you, Ken. So one of the things that we are taught in job search is to kind of network our way into a company. You know, choose a few target companies and network your way in.
Okay.
One way of doing that is through groups. So for example, in an industry. However, in groups, you can only search for a person by their name.
So Frank, do you have a
trick?
Do you have a company in mind?
Oh man, of course. I'd rather have an industry in mind. Let's talk about the cybersecurity industry. So in the groups, I belong to a few cybersecurity training companies, groups.
But I mean,
that's what I was.
A company, just for a point of an exercise.
OFFSEC, OFFSEC.
Okay, so again, for the point of an exercise, I'm going to go to people at OFFSEC.
Yeah, this isn't what I'm looking for, though.
Okay. So if you do cybersecurity, I can do cybersecurity, and I can do the same thing. I can look at people, or I can do jobs. So if I'm looking at people, I'm going to break this down again.
That's not really my question, Ken.
Right, so what is your question?
My question is, how do I find people, I should say, how do I network in using groups? So for example, all of us belong to Linda's group. And if I wanted to see who do I know in my network that can help me find a place or a company, how do I do that?
Well, these are all groups. I did cybersecurity groups. These are all groups here.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, they are listed by the one on top that has the most amount of members on down for the most part. Now, the problem is with LinkedIn, they've changed it so that you can't message a lot of people directly in the groups anymore, because whether you have basic or not. So let's say I'm going to call up a group I'm actually in to give you a perspective on that. So I'm going to go to a group. I'm going to go to this group here, 2,600 members. I can look at all the people that are in this group, but I'm limited in how many people I can message. But if I find someone in the group that I want to connect to, I can connect to them, or even better yet, like if I want to connect to Karen, I see she has some mutual connections. So what I might do, since is like Ed and I are first connections. So I might say to Ed, we both know Karen Livingston. Can you set up a group message? Not so much a connection request, just a way we can be introduced to each other. And I do that a lot with people. And that's like, for example, I don't know Karen, and I'm not so comfortable connecting with everyone because I don't know who they are, and I don't want to personalize a connection request if I don't have to. But if there's someone I want to meet, let's say Ed, I'm going to do this in real time. I'm going to do Ed Samuel. So I'm going to say to Ed Samuel in a message, I'm going to say, I see we both are connected with Karen. Can you set up a group message us to chat, or just something like that, because that's free. When you're connected to someone as a first connection, you can send as many messages as you want. There's no limit. You want to be somewhat targeted, but even doing something like this, one of the reasons, and I do this for a lot of people that are in transition, I'll say, let's have a group message, and I'm happy to do the introduction, and then from there, I'll just let the two of you go off and do what you want to do. That's an indirect way to do it. Now, it involves a little bit of work, but it's something to consider. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
No, not really.
So
I mean, I know how to message all this. I'm trying to figure out how do I use groups to network into a company when I can only do it one at a time. I can only go one person at a time.
I would recommend not using groups, but actually go to the company page, to be honest, because groups are not the best place for engagement. And maybe tagging the company on a post. You want to figure out what's best for you. I mean, I'm happy to talk in more detail if you want to go into specifics later on, because I don't want to monopolize the whole presentation, so we can get down to the core. Because I'm happy to brainstorm with you and anyone else. So I get that right.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. I mean,
Next question.
yeah, go ahead.
By the way, one of the things that's good, and the reason that I encourage everybody to connect with each other, is that the same way that Ken talked about the fact that you've got those mutual connections really work. And I do a lot of those same kinds of group messaging that Ken does.
Here's an example. I got these connection requests now, and I will follow up. I absolutely will. What I will do also when I connect with someone is I will send a follow-up. Thanks for connecting. How can I best help you? Are you okay with meeting? I don't do that. I mean, if you do that all the time, you don't want to. We call it pitch slapping as sales in our industry because we get a lot of that all the time. But people on calls like this, I'm very happy to have follow-up discussions, and so I can find out exactly what I can do. And I pay it forward. I'm not charging for this because that's what I'd like to do, and we all do. But it's helpful for me to understand because the more I get to know you, the better. And it's very hard on a call like this to do that. Now, the other thing I recommend you do is you change your LinkedIn area here to something that's searchable and not use your default, which again, this is who I am. I'm a LinkedIn introvert. This is how I am. And the way you do something like that is if you go to your public profile in this pencil area here, you have the ability under your, actually, it's not there. My bad. If you go to this pencil here, you have the ability to edit this area here, this headline, 220 characters of anything you want to say. So if you're looking for a certain industry, go back to the industry, put different keywords in there, put different things in there, because that's how you want to be found. And that's a big component, just like in the about section. The biggest mistake I see in the about section is that people have a resume. You don't want to start with your resume. You want to start with something to get their attention. This is what I do to get their attention. People are not reading the about section per se, but they want to get interested in what you do. That's, again, I can call up other people's here, and you want them, no one's reading an about section, but they're going to want to learn about you. So down here, you should have a list of core competencies and technical specialties and anything you want.
Oops. Ken, I'm sorry, I just muted you by mistake.
Okay, what I was saying is basically your LinkedIn profile is who you are with anything you do. The mistake a lot of people make is that they just wait for people to reach out to get jobs or send them jobs. I think it's more important for you to really think about how you want to use the platform. I'm showing you a couple of things today, but there's a lot there. And this is not a basic versus premium discussion. There are things that are relevant on premium that are not on basic, but anything I'm showing you today, you can do any way, shape, or form. But I recommend you start out by having a plan. It's not that I want to get a job. That's an end goal, but it's how am I getting to the job? And there's all different tricks. I mean, what I like to do is kind of a show and tell. It used to be the whole find nearby thing where we would do that in person and we do the find nearby thing. This is another thing which I like, and I'm going to share my screen in a second. Again, this is just a visual thing as much as anything else, and this is how searching works. If I want to type I'm hiring at the top, and I select people, these are all people that have I'm hiring in their keywords. Now I can break it down even further by all filters. So maybe I want to do, let's do pharma. These are people in the industry. I'm hiring. I can do it by location. I mean, this is just another way to do a search. I'm hiring, we're hiring. It's all about keywords.
So what's interesting, Ken, is that you just typed it out. You don't have any, it's not the I apostrophe M, just
Nope.
words. You don't have to put it in quotation marks.
And I can do we're hiring the same way. Again, it's all just doing a search on what people have on their profiles. And it's such an underutilized thing. Now, is this going to be is this something you're going to use all the time? It's part of the show and tell about how to do searching. You know, you can also do searching for content. Like if you want to do searching for, like, let's say you wanted to do, you mentioned cybersecurity before. So if I do cybersecurity, I may want to look at posts in cybersecurity. And I may want to break it down further, and I may want to just do it in the last 24 hours. Just to see some content. Like here's a perfect example, cybersecurity. Here's a person who put down that they're in the market for this, and it has cybersecurity in there. Also, when you have something like cybersecurity, and this is also great too, maybe I want to see what events are being held here related to cybersecurity that I might want to attend. I mean, one of the first events I attended here, I met some people that I am now good networking friends with, and we just joined the event. You know, you want to use this as a search engine. There's so much great stuff out there. Yes, you should apply to jobs. Yes, if the hiring manager's there, you should probably reach out to them, but that's such a small part of this because there's so many people doing the same thing. I've tried to make someone that thinks a little bit ahead of everyone else, and this isn't even talking about AI and how that comes into play. You want to be one step ahead of everyone else's in job search now, because by now people know the basics. Now it's about what do I do to get past that? You can use AI and AI to help you in some ways craft your about section. There's nothing wrong with that as a starting point, but then you want to personalize it or make it in your voice. AI is not the enemy. AI is a reference tool.
AI is a starting point. It's a tickler. It's a tool, but it should not be the be all end all. Make sure that it truly is your voice. Otherwise, we can tell.
Now, has everyone here used ChatGPT or do they know how that works?
I know that some people have. I'm not sure that everyone has, Ken.
Okay. I mean, I'm happy to do a demo of part of ChatGPT if anyone wants to.
That would be great.
Okay. So again, this is just, I'm going to just show you in general how ChatGPT works.
By the way, you can get a free version of ChatGPT.
Yeah. I mean,
you don't need to pay for it, guys.
No. So I'm going to go to ChatGPT and I'm going to share my screen. And I want someone here, ask me a question. Ask ChatGPT. What do you want me to ask ChatGPT?
Sherry has her hand raised.
Okay, what's the question?
Actually, it's prior to you getting to ChatGPT, when you were doing that search with the jobs in LinkedIn.
Uh-huh.
I did searches like that for the role I'm looking for, and I'm getting stuff that's like years and months old. So is there a way to narrow it down by date?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go into LinkedIn right now, actually. When you say date, you can do it by date posted. So let me just stop sharing and then I will go to here and you let me know when you guys can see my screen. All right, so now I'm going to go to LinkedIn again. And this is what you would do. You would then, when you
We're
go
not
to-
seeing your screen,
No,
Ken.
I know.
Oh.
Believe me, I know. I'm doing multiple multitasking.
It's okay, thank you.
Yep. So when you go to LinkedIn and you look for a job, let's say it's cybersecurity, and you go to jobs, what you can do is you can do under jobs, you can do a thing where it says date posted. So maybe I want to just see jobs in the last 24 hours. That's one way to go about it. And anything that is on here, that's one mechanism. Now, when it says promoted on here, that means that LinkedIn recruiters are promoting the job to be at the top of the searches. They've paid extra to be on the top of the searches that way. So I don't know if that answers your question, but you can do all different searches by different, each of these is a drop down here. You can do remote if you want, you can do companies, you can do salary. It's as granular as you want it to be to help you with that. And if you put them in, it will simplify your search. So it's just the idea of whatever the keywords are here. Again, it can be anything, and you will find also, you may find jobs that are there that don't match the job you're thinking of. You know, maybe it's a project manager is listed as something else, and that may help you define who you are on your resume. Again, this is all from a reference standpoint. And it's about taking advantage of what most people don't take advantage of.
Margot.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Ken. I had a question about what you were just showing. So I know you can save up to like 20 job searches, right? Or
Yes.
alerts. Okay, so do you recommend that you save, let's say you're looking for a few titles. So you do a Boolean search, do it like I'm in the Chicago area. So I would put in Chicago, and I know there's a few different Chicagos,
Right.
so it's a little tricky.
Right.
But then do, hybrid or on-site or remote, and then do a separate one for United States remote, but with those same titles. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise I'm getting,
I think you have to be sure you keep track of what your job searches are, what they are, because then it becomes maddening.
right, that's my question.
So I
So do you
think
just like separate them all?
I would
Because I
say,
want
I mean,
hybrid in New
what you
Jersey.
might want to do is you don't have to have job searches done every day. You may have them set up as weekly if you want. It's really what makes sense for you, but you're going to find a lot of duplication and things crossing over.
Right. So
and
that's my question. Do you just kind of lump it all into one? Because
I
when
I do 3 or 4 searches of my own, because basically what happens is LinkedIn will then recommend other jobs based on those searches, whether it's the AI or something else. I'm a big believer that yes, you use that, but everyone else doing, a lot of people set up job searches. It's not unlike when you're setting up a job search from a company and that you get the list of jobs. This is probably a better way to do it. And just to let Sherry know, there is a thing called actively hiring, which is for premium rather. And I'll go back and show you what I'm alluding to there again. I don't know how many of the people on this call actually have premium, which is why I didn't necessarily bring it up before. But if you go to cybersecurity and I do jobs, there's a thing that's here. Well, actually, there is no one here. So let's just do date posted past 24 hours. I'm going to have to do it by people, actually, not by jobs. So if I do cybersecurity and people, what happens now is people that are actively hiring, and this is a premium thing. If you select cybersecurity and actively hiring, anyone who has like this hiring thing, they show up here because they're hiring. And then and it tells you if you call them up, it tells you what jobs they're hiring for. So that's an advantage of premium. It says hiring. It may not be the exact job, but they have made that on there. Now, Sherry, you had a question before about the hiring thing, so I'd like to get back to that for a second because I don't want to miss that. What was your question about?
Okay, so the jobs that I've been searching for, I've been doing, searches similar to that, like hiring with
Mhm.
the Boolean thing with the
Right.
and then Chicago. And most of these posts are months old, or 2 or 3 months old and older.
Right.
So I'm trying to filter it down to try and find something that's more recent.
Well, the filter, when you do it by hiring, you're not going to be able to get it recent that way. What you're probably better off doing is is either you go to the jobs and find out the jobs that have been posted most recently, or maybe get content. Like I said, if I'm going to do hiring, I might actually do it instead of by people. I might do it by posts.
Yeah,
I might
that's what I'm doing.
like I'm hiring but then what I would do is I would do a date posted maybe in the last 24 hours in the past week. And then I would then see post that way. My team is hiring 5 hours ago. And if you want, again, there's all different things. And you can do it like where are you located actually?
She's in the Chicagoland
Big
area.
All right.
Mills.
I
Big
don't
Mills.
think, yeah, it doesn't give you the ability to
I
do
can put in Greater
location.
Chicago.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
give you, but I could type I'm hiring Chicago and see what happens. Hypothetically.
You have to put in the capital AND. It has to be in caps.
Right, but I'm just saying for the purpose of this, I'm just doing I'm hiring Chicago. But you can do however you set it up, you can do posts and then you can do past week, past 24 hours. The most important thing to do is if you can find someone at the company to help introduce you, that's the most important thing. Like when someone reaches out to me and they say that they're trying, and I ask this all the time of Lee Act Harrison. I say, what are your target companies? What is your target industry? What are you looking to do? And that's the thing that they struggle with at first. They cast such a wide net that it's very hard. And sometimes the net that they're casting with so many other people. I mean, lots of people want to work at Fortune 500 companies, and that may not be the best way to go. Sometimes it's a smaller company. Sometimes it's someone who used to work at a company. I'm also a big believer in using recommendations as a way to reconnect with people. LinkedIn is about networking. It's about engaging. It's about relationships. It's not about finding a job. One of my biggest mantras is LinkedIn will not get you a job, it'll get you closer to a job. However that is. And it works different ways for different people. So, Linda, can I go to ChatGPT again quickly before the
Absolutely,
call?
please do.
Okay. So let me actually go to ChatGPT because I want someone to actually ask me a question that I can ask ChatGPT. So what's a question that you want me to ask? Anyone, doesn't matter. It can be interview questions, but anything you want. I mean, this is, or it can be, how do I answer an interview question? I mean, it just.
So I'm going to do one since we're doing it tomorrow or next week. We're talking about dealing with change. How do I answer a question about dealing with change?
How do I answer a question about dealing with change? So that's what my question is. Here's a guide to formulate your answer. And this is just something that's getting back. And again, you can take, this is such a great reference tool. So I don't know if this helps you at all, Linda, for this or. And then these things can be saved, but this is like, again, interview questions. If you want to know how to answer an interview, how to answer an interview question, or I mean, what is a good LinkedIn about section
Perfect.
for someone in IT?
Perfect.
Here's a sample. And this is exactly, and again, you can use this as an example.
Do not copy and paste.
Right. What about someone in pharma?
I didn't know that it would build off each other. I thought you had to do a separate
Builds,
for
if
each
it's in the
time.
same context, it builds.
I didn't
No.
realize that.
So here's the thing,
You
this
can
is
keep
informal.
asking it.
Yeah.
And you definitely want to personalize, but again, this is just some information. If you're not really sure where to start, it says feel free to personalize this template. And you take it, and there's lots of tools like this out there. How do I craft a personalized connection
Perfect.
as to a recruiter? Step-by-step guide.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed with ChatGPT when I was using it for like creating test plans,
Right.
it said if you actually get more specific of like what is a test plan like written by like a senior QA person, it actually gets more details.
Absolutely. So again, at the
Better.
bottom of here, this is the message here. And the more specific you get, the better. That's absolutely true. I mean, these are just some very generic ways to go about it. Whenever you ask a question, I'm just putting some examples up there. If you're not sure what to do, if you're not sure how to answer, how do I answer? Tell me about yourself. Okay. So let's ask ChatGPT that. Shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So let's share the screen. We're going to go to ChatGPT and how do I answer the question? Tell me about yourself. Okay. And you could do that. You can change it even more specifically for an industry or a company or something. But again, this is just, here's an example response. Again, and a lot of people are afraid of this. I think it's a great reference tool. So that's an example there.
Thank you.
What? There's lots of great tools like that out there. How do I answer the question, where do I see myself in 5 years? Another one which
Can I add a piece to that?
you can tell me whatever. Yeah, what would you like
No.
to?
If you are an older employee.
Okay. How do I answer?
Because that's one of the questions that some people have. We find sometimes, Ken, that's a screen out question, a knockout question that people use to try and determine age and how long you're planning to be there. Frank, I like your answer. Above ground, that's, a good answer. Actually, that's one my husband always uses.
There you go. It's important to emphasize your wisdom, stability.
Yep.
I mean, again, this is just such a great tool to brainstorm with.
And that's the point. It is a brainstorming tool. It is not the answer. Make sure that it becomes you, but it's a great jumping off point. Al.
So go ahead. No,
I like you getting more specific. So usually I try to put in, based on this job description, I'll cut and paste it, put that in, what questions would I ask? And then I put my resume in based on my experience, and it'll spit out questions based on your resume.
Absolutely.
And the job
I mean, you
description.
can be as granular or non-granular as you want to be. I mean, for the purposes of today, I just wanted to put some very general questions out there.
Absolutely.
because things that might resonate with your group, because I think that is such an important part of it. To do as much as possible. I see Austin has a question, I guess.
Yes. Austin, your turn.
It was actually Al took the words right out of my mouth. If you copy and paste your resume with that question, it will get granular. And again, you don't want to copy and paste. You need to refine it yourself and make it yours. But yeah, the more you feed it, the more specific, and it is really helpful. You know, I'm just not the best writer in the world, but having that help, another set of eyes, and then you make it yourself, it's a great tool.
Absolutely. Everything I'm showing you today is from a reference standpoint or just an investigation standpoint. Take advantage of all the things that are out there and do not be afraid to try things. Not everything's going to work the same way. But the more you do and think outside the box, the better, you know, and I'm very, you know, I want to be respectful of time. I'm very happy to be here today, Linda. I'm happy to connect with everyone.
That was going to be my next idea is how do
Brainstorm.
people get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm going to put my LinkedIn URL in the chat again. Like I said, the more that I know about each of you, the better I can help support you. Like someone says to me, I need your help looking for a job. Okay. What can be, you be a little more specific? And it's not to put someone on the spot, but if I can't answer your question, I may be able to find someone who can answer your question. And sometimes it's as simple as asking me who you want to get in touch with. You look at my connections and you say, do you know this person who's a first connection? And I will probably say yes, or I'll say, what do you want me to do? Would you want me to make an introduction? Is there something you want to find out from them? Don't be afraid to ask for help. We do not bite. We will get back to you. We may not get back to you the right way, but don't give up. So Frank, the same thing. I'm happy to have a conversation later on. I didn't want to say no, and we can talk in more detail or not. You know, it's really up to you because I want to understand what people want. And I say this all the time to Leac Harrison. I don't know you for that well, so I need you to talk to me a little more specifically so I can understand, you know. So you're more than just a person on a Zoom chat. Like I've known Linda now for a while, but in the beginning, we were just on a call together.
Exactly. So I agree. You have to tell us how we can help. Our connections are open to you if we're connected. Happy to make those arrangements and help you in any way that we can. Ken and I both do these kinds of programs. It's our way of paying it forward and giving back.
Absolutely. And I started out, truth be told, I was scared to death of connecting with Brenda. I got to be honest with you. I was so afraid to, and I sent it out. I used to be afraid to connect with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I looked at their profiles and they're like, they were so amazing. But when you realize they're just people, you know, even if it's a senior person at a company, people do not mind. I mean, they may not get back to you, but they're not going to just tag you as some inconvenience.
My view is you have nothing to lose by sending out that request.
Absolutely.
Or that message. In fact, one of the things that I encourage is if you have a premium account, make sure that you have that open messaging open so that people can message you without having to waste or use one of their connection message requests if they're in a free account.
And if you do get premium for a month, just make sure to take it off after a month. If you're a member of the military, you get a free year of premium for free, which is something that's not that well publicized. But most of what I did today, you can actually reach out to, doesn't have to be premium. I recommend you all connect with each other and then use the direct messaging that way, because first connections can message each other. There's no charge.
Correct.
And that's a big workaround. The first free year is also for veterans. Yes. If I have a chance and it's okay with you, I'm going to look for the link in the chat for that.
Please.
Is that okay? So while I'm doing that,
sure, you're right. People may not respond to DMs, but you have nothing to lose by putting it out there. Okay. Just remember that your DM should not be what's called a pitch slap.
Right.
Okay. And too many of the DMs are, which is why people are not responding.
All right. I just put in the chat the link to get the free, that's the free 1 year of veterans social impact, and it's for their family. So that's a link, a direct link from LinkedIn. And again,
Is it for veterans families too?
I'm looking at it here now. Um, it says 1 year of LinkedIn Premium and LinkedIn Learning for free. It says eligible members of the U.S. military community. I don't know how they quantify that. I'm looking down here. That link has a bunch of things on it. I think it's really for anyone who served, because it needs something called a Sheer ID, which I'm not really sure what that is. I don't know if people still have
So
that Sheer ID or not. I don't know if
So
that.
share ID is simply just verifying you are who you say you are.
Okay.
And it's used a lot in veterans and college programs, so that, if you say you're a college student or you say you're a veteran, we used it at Bed Bath & Beyond. There's probably only two good competitors out there. But it just verifies documentation usually, or against a database that they're leveraging.
Thank you.
Now, the idea, now again, I will speak to the whole idea, DMs. One thing that helps with a DM is having a subject line that's going to help me understand what you want from me. Think about emails with subject lines. You get emails all the time. Do you just bypass something if the subject line isn't relevant? You want to make it somewhat engaging so that they know what you're looking for.
And remember that whole idea about the pitch slap. And when you're messaging people, you're trying to start a conversation. You're not asking for something, right? Unless you're trying to do it as part of this group where you're saying, I'm sending you the message, would you like to connect? But not, hey, do you know somebody you can introduce me to? I've never met you before. We've never had a conversation. We aren't connected yet, but no, don't do that.
No. And sometimes you wait a day or two also. Sometimes I don't reach out to people right away because I'm afraid they think I'm going to pitch slap them, which I'm not, but they don't know me from a hole in the wall sometimes. It's all part of building relationships and trust. Trust is a big part of this too. You want to be able to trust people. If I can't help you, I will say I can't help you, but will suggest someone else because I don't want to put myself out there as something I'm not. I look at resumes of Lee Act Harrison, but I'm not a resume expert. There are lots of people who do it better than me. I can do triage on them, which is fine for some people, but it's not someone, if someone needs a resume written from scratch, there's tools out there. And I'm going to be helpful, but it's not my sweet spot. So, and I will let the people know, and if they're okay with a quick glance, that's fine. But again, it's knowing what you can do.
Okay. So Ken, tell us a little bit about what your sweet spot is. You've already told us how people can connect with you.
My sweet spot is LinkedIn, obviously. I do LinkedIn. I do my lunch and learns every Tuesday in April. Starting in May, there are going to be a couple of sessions at night. I do one-on-one training with people. I work with companies, but I only want to work with people that feel comfortable working with me, both ways. And I don't run after people. If you can pay for my services, great. If not, there's ways to engage. I believe in paying it forward because when I was out of work, I didn't have the support that you guys all had because back then it was a little harder to figure this stuff out. There wasn't a lot of stuff online. So I feel at the very least, I want to share my knowledge and I'm constantly posting there. And there is no expectation when I'm posting stuff that people are going to reach out to me. I'm not doing it for business. I'm doing it for engagement. And if business comes, great. Can I provide to the GA meeting you mentioned? What is the GA meeting? I'm not sure what that is. I mean, I will, if anyone's interested, I will, let me know and I can send you links to my weekly LinkedIn lives and I can put you, in May, I'm doing an event for parents and their kids about how to handle networking when your kids graduate from school and what the parents can do to support them. Other events will be coming up. Any of you can do your own event also.
Yep.
Any of you can create your own event. I started doing these in 2020 with 6 people, and it kind of morphed on to something else. Nothing is stopping you from creating your own event and inviting people to that event. whether it's on Zoom or somewhere else.
Absolutely. And if you guys have ideas for topics or people that you'd like us to talk about, or topics to talk about, people you'd like us to bring on to these sessions, please let me know.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I started my 2020s, people that are out of work, I had them as my guests. And I wanted them to kind of talk about what they were doing and market themselves. That became the niche for a while. People were out of work during the pandemic. And I may do something like that again. Do not be afraid to put yourself out there. Nothing is going to happen. I promise. Nothing has happened to me. The worst thing that happens is people ignore you. Okay. There'll be other people that won't.
And unless you try, you don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes if you're not sure how to ask a question, ask us, ask ChatGPT. If you're looking to change industries, ask someone in the new industry that you want to go into what they like about it, don't like about it. You know, people are very open. I mean, they may not get back to you right away, and they may not get back to you at all, but you just try other people. You know, we all know people, and we all know what we can do to help support you, but we have to know how we can help you in that way.
You're absolutely right. Sherry.
Yes, I'm happy to announce that we now have 4 people in the Tag Me sheet.
All right, good to know. And we had 52 people on the call today. So that's 52 people that you can reach out to, you can connect with,
And
you
remember
can
to
grow your network.
save the chat off the 3 dots. I don't know
Absolutely.
if you say that. Then you can go back to all the people on the call and reconnect with them, and you've built that relationship. You all have that commonality.
That's right. Okay. And I will put the chat in the private group for those of you who are in the private group or want to be. The difference is that if you're copying the chat, it still remains an active link. Once I put it in the private group, it usually isn't.
You can save it as a text file, but again, it's just the idea, because I used to do this all the time when I was out of work in 2020 for a little while. I would save the chats and reach out to people, but I would be but I wouldn't reach out to everyone. I would pick a few people, and you just never know where it's going to go.
Absolutely. And we're going to continue these kinds of conversations. I love this. Thank you, Ken, so much. I put my information in the chat as well, including the link to the private group. If one of the things that I often forget to do at the end of these meetings is tell you that in addition to these kinds of give backs and all the information that I post on LinkedIn as my way of giving back, if anybody wants to work with me one-on-one, you can do that too. And that information is in the chat, and happy to do that. And I'm working with some of you now. So that's always a good thing. But this is near and dear to my heart. This is the thing that I love doing, is this give back, this paying it forward.
Me too. Because it's just something I feel good about it. I mean, I don't feel good that you guys are out of work. Don't misunderstand. But it's just, you want to do what you can to help and support others.
And that's exactly right.
Yep.
Absolutely right.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
Great.
So do copy the chat. I'm going to turn off the recording.